I mean, you're like an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10 right now.
Okay.
Of hotness.
So my hair wasn't done this morning. This is like how I roll. Andrew, you know this about me. I'm like taking care of everything but me. Literally was like rolling in the CVS. If I don't have mascara on, Carrie's going to be like, wak, wak, wak. So I'm rolling in there, trying to like, which mascara?
She's like, Andrew, you know this about me. I roll out of bed in 11.
You woke up like this is what you're basically telling
here's
us.
it's
What
like,
did I tell you that T-shirt said? Woke up sexy
woke
again?
Up sexy. It's like, I've got 45 minutes. Get ready, run on the treadmill. Run on the treadmill.
Oh my God. Well, I agree with that.
I would just got if you got.
I would forego any sort of superficial. Like if I had to go without washing my hair or doing, I have to get the workout in first.
It's like you
got to build the
Honestly,
foundation.
You people, there's something wrong.
We're crazy, aren't we? But I
something
totally
wrong.
agree with you on that. Diane Menashe, Andrew Grossman, welcome to the Carrie Croft Show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
The second threesome ever.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, for you.
Well, we can get into that if you want. If you want to go there. So I am pumped to have you two. I mean, that's an understatement.
Well, we're a good deal. We're a good
I mean,
duo.
yeah, I'm
We're
like,
kind of a
did
big
you
deal.
see? Well, you didn't see social, but I named this officially two esteemed colleagues and a knucklehead because this is literally what it is. It's like you guys are you and then I'm me, and it just kind of is gonna. I think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I think
The
you
recipe-
being you seems just fine.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. So, I think we would be remiss to not start this conversation with sort of the current events and the highlights in our life right now, which, you won Diane Menashe, happened to grace Dateline NBC, which, as we all know out there, if you ever listen to me at all, I'm obsessed
Oh, I know.
with
You've
Dateline,
mentioned that once or
48
twice.
hours. And I had the privilege of listening to it live at the time, the Matthew Moore case, naming myself juror number 13, but then being removed from it for a while because, I'll tell you what, and I already told you this, but we're going to repeat it. When I would go for those walks with my dog and I would listen to the case and I got so invested. And then when I listened to that closing argument, well, first when I listened to the bearded baby prosecutor, that's what I called him. And then I realized you came in for the kill when he made the mistake of saying like, that Matt killed her in the woods during the closing argument, and you were like Jaws, and it was the most unbelievable. I was literally cheering and going bonkers on this path, running my dog. But to come back to it months later and watch it again, I had goosebumps like I was watching the Super Bowl or something. What was that like watching yourself on Dateline?
I don't know if it's Super Bowl halftime show material, but it was cool. Like I was just talking to Andrew about it. We do what we do at a really high level. By the way, spoiler alert for everyone. Andrew and I have like mutual fan crushes on one another's abilities. Can I say that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Are you guys
Andrew's
fan
the
or
best.
are you fanning or standing? Just to keep you with the current time. So if you're a stan, you're a super fan.
Oh, I'm a super fan.
So you're a stan.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're a stan.
Because I know that like people, we were just talking about this. Andrew was like, when people say, oh, you're the best, divorce attorney. And Andrew's like, a lot of people don't really know what that means. But like, I actually do. And I know it's not just like word on the street. I know what comes, what the work goes in to do that. I know the success rate. I know how, you manage client relationships, which is everything and leads to your reputation. And so I just know like the backstory that gets you to that moment of when people in our business say that.
Yeah, but back to you being a rock star on
Yes.
Dateline.
So it was awesome. You couldn't have paid for that. And you know what's nice for any of us, and I mean this, like you work your ass off at something. And in my profession, particularly, clients, because of the position they're in, there's not a whole lot of appreciation, like even when you save their life. And I understand that for, a number of reasons, and we've talked about this before. But like, then to sort of have that on such a huge platform for people to see the work that you're doing at that level and for them to showcase me in that way, it was like, I don't know.
I've known Diane for a long time, and I've been a stan for since when that was just a name of a guy. But it was so I don't know what the right word. It was so gratifying personally to lay in bed on a Friday night and watch this program and to see Diane doing Diane. Happy for her that other people got to see it. I was telling Diane earlier that, I was holding my breath at the beginning because, what people maybe don't realize is that Diane had no editorial control over that program. So producers, and I don't know who these producers are, and I'm certainly not saying anything about them, but just any producer could, get a feeling that goes the other way and could cut the program and structure the program and present the program in a way that looks terrible. And so, you really go out on a limb by cooperating because you don't have that control. And it was so awesome to see. I mean, it was baller, by the way. Like, it was baller. And it was so great at the end how that program ended. And I won't say it, but see how that ended. To know Diane the way I know Diane, I have enormous respect for you and your ability, and it was just so fucking awesome to see. Really, really happy for you.
And I'm going to take that beautiful moment into a really weird, twisted corner because you know how I like to do that. The fact that you're so hot.
Oh, wow.
And you're a female.
Wow.
And I've already talked to you about your eyes and just this thing you have. There's like no offense to it being like a typical white male up there doing a great job, but you have this package that, like, I don't know, it just adds to it.
But what I think is what adds to it, and this is, so thank you. Coming from Andrew, it really does mean a lot. I also, when I was watching it, what made me think so cool is just that was like me. Like unapologetically, like down on the ground with the USB cord around my neck, just getting up to do a cross-examination and going like this, And there's nothing better than seeing yourself in just like your raw, state. And the thing about, this goes back to this hot comment, is honestly, when you're in that moment, you think about nothing. You don't think about what you look like. You don't think about what you sound like, what you're wearing, because you're so in that moment, right? So when it's crazy, because I know we're so tough on ourselves, but if somebody was like, what did you think about yourself? I don't even remember what I was wearing, and I just watched the show. You know what I mean? Because you're so focused on just what you're doing.
Do you get jury feedback after all of your cases?
Yes. So I went back there.
Have you ever gotten feedback? I'm just curious because it's funny, in my practice, every once in a while I'll have a female client, and we have a male judge, and they are concerned that they have a male judge, right? Like, or a male guardian when we're talking about their kids. I want a woman. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you don't, because women are so much more critical and judgmental of other women than men ever are.
Truly.
And so I wonder, because your juries have to be on the average half female.
Yeah.
I just wonder how that plays. I mean, there's a juror sitting in the box going, I don't care if he's innocent or not. She's too good looking to be doing this.
But here's the thing, and this is like evolution in time, and where we have not come far enough in 2023. Let's pause there. So, it's a difficult time right now, and that's an understatement for the world, and particularly people of Israel. But I say this of just, I used to not want women on my juries. Like, and if I got 10-2 men, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
Because I was so cognizant of how hard women can be on other women. And I was like, earlier in my career, people would call me aggressive, or my clients were always like, you're a fucking pit bull. And I'd be like, ooh, am I? And now I'm like,
yeah. Damn right.
Like, I had a client call me a viper the other day, and I was like, do love that.
Viper.
I know.
Okay.
But I said, because I was really.
Oh, is that why that was your license plate? Viper?
Andrew.
Sorry.
Now everyone knows. But as time has evolved, and this is why going back and talking to jurors is like everything, right? Because what we think is important is actually not, and I've always said like jury selection and service is legalized voyeurism. They just sit there and they get to watch you for weeks and make judgments and, because the whole time they're a juror, they can't talk about the case. So what are they going to do? They're going to watch and judge and hopefully listen. So long answer to the short question is I now, though, seek women that either have strong personalities or have daughters. Because here's what I find, that women now look at me and they love it, that I am out there doing my thing.
That's great.
Like they see me as like, I see you, right? Or they're women that I've heard this from so many jurors. I wanted to do this and couldn't, but like, will you meet my daughter? I literally, Diane, if you're listening, Husel juror just called me this morning, also named Diane, and said, can you call me and let me know your next big trial? I want to bring my granddaughters down.
How cool
literally,
is that?
in my voicemail.
That's so cool.
And that is kind of like where we are right now, right? It's that there's seeing other women doing kick-ass things is just now like, there's a moment where it's like She-Ra, right? Like, go girl, And then to be able to kind of watch it as a juror unfold and like see the momentum carry and then to be part of doing what's right. I just want like women jurors now are part of the equation.
It's interesting. And, by the way, not just like seeing you, a woman, kicking ass, but in cases, in a field that it isn't like you take the wussy cases, okay? I mean, it's not like you're like, oh, a traffic violation. I got that, right?
No.
I mean, there's no faulty mufflers going on in your office.
No.
This is real shit.
Like literally I was in Delaware Muni Court Monday. And the judge, there's only two, Muni Court, was like, what are you doing slumming it down here? Because it's like if Diane's here, somebody must be like, they must be big, right?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah.
But it's just, it's such a, there's just this thought. Actually, my wife said it when we were watching Dateline. Like, she turned to me and she's like, during one of the commercials, and she's like, I can't believe that she does this. Like, it's so big and so powerful and so like sometimes gruesome.
Yeah.
What you have to do, with a life on the line. By the way, like, I am thrilled that nobody in any of my cases is facing the death penalty. I mean, I'm fine under pressure, but at the end of the day, no one likes to lose.
Yeah.
I don't go into court to lose. I don't intend to lose. I don't take it very well if and when I do. But, no one's going to jail for life.
Well, this is a good time to ask that question because I was curious with your with being a divorce attorney. You've probably had a spouse that's actually attempted to kill someone though, and you had to lob them off to somebody like Diane, right? Have you had an attempted murder?
I haven't had an attempted murder, no.
Or like a wife that's kind of tried to put some little Visine in the Coke?
No.
Really?
I mean, I've had plenty of domestic violence.
But
plenty of domestic violence.
No plots.
And by the way, like some nasty domestic violence, like some bad domestic violence. Some, spousal sexual abuse kind of stuff. Like, I mean, bad stuff, but not like, no, I haven't had anybody like, with a gun. Well, that's not true. I haven't had anybody try to fire it at their spouse.
Yeah, I was curious.
But you manage I couldn't do what you do, which is so funny because that's what Andrew's saying.
Right.
Like, he's like, I wouldn't want a life on the line. And I'm like, I wouldn't want this, like, so much contention just constantly.
Well, I think what, having had Andrew as my attorney, the one thing that I think that would get very tiresome, but you're in it. Like, this is what you do. But it's like you're in this couple's drama that's everything to them at the time. And you're like, okay, been there, seen this, watch this. And you're kind of like the dad that's like, stay tempered. This is the long game. I know he did X, Y, and Z today. But, there has to be an element where you're like kind of this very, you have to stay unflappable and very steady.
Sure.
And really keep your clients on the rails.
Yeah. It's funny. I've seen other lawyers, with like I've seen this, 30 times, and there's a way to like sort of turn that so that it helps your client, right? I mean, if I say to a client, like, you're nothing special, this is, this this happens in every case, they're like out the door, right?
Yeah.
But if they know, if the message is given to them in a way that they know that they're not alone, that's an important message to give, right? Like, you're not alone. People have faced this issue and come out on the other side okay. People like that sense of, I'm not forging this path by myself. Like, I'm not the first one to do it. But it is a challenge. I mean, listen, 8-10 hours a day of fielding phone calls, and there are recurring themes that come up throughout the day. And, on the fourth call, it's hard to be as compassionate as it was on the first call. I mean, it's hard, but it's I don't know. I think that I think I do it reasonably well. The people that do it well, I mean, it's a gift to be able to do.
You actually do it well. I will speak from experience. And I have something to say about this. Is kind of transcends to both of you, but someone's outside persona from a 10,000 foot view is always one thing, right? So like if somebody says Andrew Grossman at a party, like, oh, you need to hire Andrew Grossman. He's an animal. He's going to take you down. I mean, I went and called Andrew Grossman first. Like, it's like nobody wants to deal with this guy because, you don't want your spouse to deal with him.
Run, don't walk.
You got to make sure Andrew's off the table because this guy, he'll just destroy you, right? My experience with Andrew was the complete opposite, but in a great way. It was very fair, very tempered, very pro-marriage, doing what you have to do, but it was just, I felt like you truly cared, and I got a very good sense about you, personally. So it's interesting. It's, who you were for me as a client versus, I mean, I wanted you to like, at the time, I was like, yeah, I hope this guy's got like, machetes and like all kinds of stuff in his, pocket. But same thing for you. So you are this viper, bulldog, animal. And of course, when your life's on the line and somebody's trying to put you behind bars for the rest of your life, you want someone like that. But when you peel that back, what I've witnessed from you being your friend, you have been in such a sacrificial role in terms of you give every ounce. If you take a case, your life stops for that human being that you've never even met in a way that like is so, it's very, I'm very in awe of it. Because like you said, it's tiring and you don't have the same stamina for the fourth as you do for the first, but you've got somebody's life in your hands, and that might take 6 months, 8 months. With Husel, I mean, with COVID, and that ended up being what, over a year to have his life in your hands, and you never let up. It's truly incredible. But and that's what makes you so good.
Well, one thing as I hear Andrew talk, though, and it's so true why, like, people are so good in different ways, right? And that's why we're, like, uniquely great at what we do, is I dedicate myself to the case, though, and not to the client. And that sounds like kind of what people are like, what? I don't really get that distinction. But, I'm not that patient with the clients. I'm not, I'm not. It's my weakness, although I own it. Clients, just had a client in today. He's like, I want you, and I tell every client, like, I do not own pom-poms, never have. If you want someone to tell you it's going to be great, it's going to be all right, I'm not your girl.
A bummer to hear that she doesn't have pom-poms.
Well, I don't have them at work. But because, like, I think it's, for me, it's the work and the process, right? Like, I really do. It's not bullshit. Like, I really do believe in the work. And when I say things like, there's nothing better than when the system works, and there's nothing better when someone like Andrew is so good at what he does, because then it's like a peer doing. There's not that many great lawyers. Sorry, spoiler alert. There's not.
Well, I think you could insert any
profession.
There's not very many great
that's
anything.
The thing. And then add to it, being great at what you do and being a good human. That's like an even smaller demographic, right? And so you know, I think it's interesting. Like I do really dedicate a lot to my work. I have a lot of cases at one time, but I'm dedicated to the work.
I love, and I don't know that I've ever actually thought about it like that in my cases, but about being dedicated to the case and not the client. And you know, in what you do, I mean, that's of critical importance, right? I mean, you are dealing with these specific facts that matter so much, that, you know, the focus has to not be on the guy.
That's exactly right.
Right? It's got to be on the fact. And, you know, what we see in divorce court, the lawyers who are hyper-focused on the client are the ones that kind of adopt the client's cause, right? They got the pom-poms in the briefcase.
Yep.
And, you know, we jokingly say about certain lawyers in town, like in my office when we're talking about, oh, so-and-so's on the other side of the case, you know, like, it's amazing that in 25 years of practicing domestic relations, they've never been hired by the client who did something wrong. Like, totally. What are the chances that you get the good guy every time? How do you market to those? You know, and it does a disservice ultimately to the client.
And you know what else it does? It doesn't. There are going to be clients that need you to have that moment in court, which happens, and it benefits the clients without them even knowing how much, is when you can say, you know, Your Honor, I've been doing this for 25 years. And this client, right, this situation's different. And Your Honor, you know that I don't come here and say
right.
that. And that's that street cred, just like all of us out on the, you know, in our social circle, there is professional street cred.
For sure
Are you the one that comes in here and says every client's innocent? That is not me. That is absolutely not me. Every client is not innocent. You know, most are charged for a reason. However, there is absolutely positively a group of people, and even if it's a group of one, it's one too many, but it is much larger than one, of people that are innocent that are charged with crimes. And that's why you do the whole body of work, right? Is because of that group. But I say this, like, I do really do it for the case. And it's funny because of what you do. It allows me, if I focus on the case, to divorce myself from the client. Mm-hmm. You know, because if you're just taking in that narrative, you're getting suckered. Not because they're lying to you, but what you're doing is you're literally allowing yourself to be on one side of the fence when really how you win it is going over to the other side and seeing the muck. Yeah. And how's the yard dirty and how do I deal with that?
You know, it's interesting. I think that, I mean, we all have had clients who lie to us. You may have a slightly higher percentage than the average. I don't know, but but I got lots of questions for you off camera. But every time we get together for a drink or something, I'm like, all right, I got 6 questions. So I don't remember what I was saying, but so I don't often feel like I have a client who is lying to me in what I do. I feel like I have a client who is giving me their version of the truth, right? And I mean, we're 3 accomplished, intelligent, at least 2, accomplished, intelligent folks. And we know, like, we could view something and we could then repeat it an hour later to somebody and tell 3 different variations on what we observed. Mm-hmm. Right. And people are coming, you know, into my office with this like body of experience of living in this unhappy relationship. And they're saying, okay, this is what happened. And then when I repeat that or put it in a pleading or whatever, we're talking about it. The other side's like, well, that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. You know? And my client's like, well, he's lying or she's lying. And I'm like, well, or her perception of what happened is completely different.
And also, when we're telling, in our clients tell us stories that inevitably involve themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we're telling a story, just by human nature, we want to project ourselves as in the best light possible, even when we're in a really dark room, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and then add to that perception is everything, right? So I agree with you. I not every client is lying. Also, my clients generally don't lied to me, not because they don't want to, just because I say, you know, it takes me a long time with a client before I say, tell me what happened, which is not the way most defense attorneys do it. They go in, they say, tell me what happened.
Right.
I don't do that until we get the discovery, because I always tell my clients, who am I to think that I can roll up and on our first meeting, you're going to trust me with the biggest secret about the biggest trauma, right? That you're not. And I don't like pretend to be that important to you. So first of all, let's get in this together. You know, let's walk a little bit together, you know, and then see what they have. And then the way I approach my clients is I talk about it in the reverse. When we see what they have, then I say, okay, tell me what's not right about this. Mm-hmm. And I think it just creates like a more truthful conversation and kind of takes away that perception piece a little bit. Like, I'm like, don't sell me on it because I don't want to be sold on it because here's what they got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me where it's wrong, or like, you know. So, but yes, I mean, not everyone's a truth teller.
You know.
So that's the law.
Yes, you know, actually drink. Take a drink.
Yeah. So that's the law.
You know, it's a smart way to do it, and you're absolutely right about that. But I will say, going back to Matt Moore, which is the Dateline episode, so I've had several people come up to me as if I have some kind of inside, you know, scoop on whether he did it or not. So, you know, the SOSers like, so, okay, did he do it? I'm like, well, I'm like, listen, as juror number 13, I could not have convicted him.
Matt did not do it.
Right. And I know that. I know you believe that 100%.
Sure.
And I do
run around saying that about
and me listening to it all as well, I do err on the side that he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But you did. Like, you held true to that. Every time we would talk about anything, which you couldn't talk about a lot, but you always go back to the facts and how you can't convict. Like, there really was nothing tying him other than horrible police work, a police officer saying basically he did it because of whatever, the hyoid bone. Mm-hmm. But, and then here's how we're going to leave the Dateline episode. Okay. I want to close the loop, because the best part of that episode for me was being able to rewatch the bearded baby and the hot redhead. Literally like this, like, oh, fuck.
At council table, that was good.
I mean,
it was pretty great.
It was like, no, it was really great. It was like a movie. I'm like, is this real life, or did Diane Menashe come in and just, I mean, it was amazing.
You know what's amazing is the jurors see that.
Yeah.
Oh. They're right there next to the box.
Yeah.
And that was during closing. They like had their heads down. I mean, they were just like, and they looked beat, didn't they?
They looked
totally beat.
Worse than beat.
They looked just beat.
The only thing I would have changed is for them to have added in, because Diane was doing such a brilliant job of saying, like, you're smarter than that, Andrew. Yeah. You're smarter than that. She said it probably 4 or 5 times, like, throughout the whole, closing argument. And I'm just like, it was so the way.
Because I did feel that, though.
I know,
this was just bullshit.
Absolutely it was. But the way, like, it was just, the delivery was just Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Lincoln Lawyer.
I told Diane, but like less high, right? Than Matthew McConaughey. I told Diane that my wife and I are laying in bed watching this, and they would do these clips where Diane was, in the courtroom saying something, asking a question, making a response, whatever, giving a closing argument, a snip of the closing argument, and Shiley would like turn to me and she'd be like, I mean, she's really fucking good.
But you know what's so cool about watching it, and Andrew and I have had enough drinks to know we both feel this way about our job. It's fun. I like see it and I'm like, God, that was fun. Right. And you know what? When you're in it, there's nothing fun about being in trial. It's like it's like the stress, the sleep. Every other client wants you at all times, and you don't have the bandwidth or the time to give it to them, right? Yeah. Just every day, the good days, the bad days in trial, all the things, the prep. It's so much. There's nothing fun about. It's not like you're in it and you're like, this is so fun.
Right.
See, I think that the lead up to trial is way more painful.
Actually, I agree with that.
Trial.
I agree with that.
I love being in trial. It's like the thing I spend most of my time working on behalf of a client to avoid going to trial.
Yeah,
is the one thing I love the most.
And that's what
I bet you're really good at it.
Oh,
I can imagine
listen,
you are.
It's you're going to be better at something if you love doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you got to have some skill and you got to have some know-how, but it helps to be pretty passionate about it. Helps to really dig it.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That's why you don't see me at SOS at 5:30 in the morning, because I don't dig it and I'm going to suck at it.
How do you know you don't dig it? You've never tried it.
It's a first of all, it's a gym, right?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lost me at-
We'll
you
just,
lost
I
me at
won't
gym.
even.
No, but do what you love. And also that passion, if it translates. It translates when people see you're like authentic and passionate about something. And jurors tell me this. Because, by the way, I never have told any client in 25 years, ever, I think you're innocent or I don't think you did this. I've never told a client that. Because I'm not the decider.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not the decider. It's the jury. And I tell clients because they're always asking me, why don't you believe me? Just tell me you believe me. And I'm like, that's not for me to believe or disbelieve. I don't care whether you did it or didn't do it. I'm going to give you the same fight. And I want my clients to feel that. I really do, because it is actually 100% true. But in the end, in my business, the jury decides.
Yeah.
It's not you can't control that. But I will just say that jurors always tell me, like, and the Matt Moore, they told me that. When we walked back there, they were like clapping. It was awesome. When we went back there, though, they were saying, you were so passionate. And we thought you were like a no bullshitter, that we were like, she believes him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never said it.
Right.
Didn't have to.
Right. But that's what they inferred
that's
from
what
your
they
enthusiasm,
exactly.
from your, yeah.
And that's so powerful.
And I will tell you, like, I mean, listen, I don't know the prosecutors, and I'm likely to never run into them, but and I recognize the fact that it was a long trial, and we saw a grand total of 7 minutes of it.
Sure.
But you saw an accurate.
But the passion was not bilateral.
No, 100%. That's what I'm saying. And the jurors see that.
Yeah.
Optically. That's everything.
Well, the prosecutor walked out of he stormed out of the courtroom 3 days before that, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was not a good look either. Like there were just a lot of things that didn't go well for them. And I just think
Well, I even think, like, just take it out of this context. If you're like love working out and people see it, people are like, oh, I want to, not you. I want to try that, right? Because I want to be part of that. Like passion, there's an energy, right? There's that magnetic, attraction.
you're confident too.
For sure.
But the other side, they didn't have that at all.
No, and that translates.
For sure.
Even if you just don't say it, it just translates because you're watching it and you're feeling it. It's like, if you don't believe in your case, why should we believe in it?
Right.
You're over here, you're kicking rocks in the corner.
What are you doing,
Right.
So it's great.
Speaking of trials, and I know you probably, what are you allowed to tell me in terms of, like, what's the craziest scenario you've ever come across in terms of a divorce? Like, they held out for like 6 years, or what sticks out in your mind is like the craziest couples? Like, obviously you're not going to give names, but can you give scenarios? Is that legal?
Sure, it's legal.
Okay.
I mean, the beauty of trial, or maybe not beauty, is that it's public. And so, while I'm never going to tell you what my clients told me or what we talked about in the background, if it comes out in trial, it's part of the public record.
All right.
So, to me, I think I've had lots of little different kinds of crazy, right? I mean, there are people who are just not reasonable. There are people who just, don't get it. There are people who do. And listen, there's, they say the fine line between love and hate, right? And so, like, it's amazing to me. And by the way, I was so sheltered as a child, and like raised in this little bubble, and my parents, loved and still love each other, and they were really cute together, and everybody kind of looked at them like, oh, it's like they're still dating. And
now you have that.
But what I didn't know is that how horrible people can be to each other because I never experienced it. I never witnessed it. And that's like the jarring thing when you start doing this, when I started doing this, was how fucking terrible people can be to the people that they like love the most in the world, that they procreated with. Like, how can you do that? But to me, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just, I'm almost 30 years in the practice, and maybe it's just a long time. It's been a long time. And so those little things don't shock me anymore. But to me, the craziest case I think I had in divorce court was the case I had. It was involving a ton of money. And it was the longest trial I've ever been a part of. I mean, a preposterous number of days.
Like, how much money are we talking? Billions?
Not billions. Millions.
Multi-millions.
Yeah. And in that case, it was the first time I'd ever met a guy who hated his wife more than he loved his money. In other words, I'm going to spend, like, I could give you $1, but I'm going to spend $6 to not. And to me, like, every day I walked into court, I was like, I can't believe we're fighting about this. Like, I cannot believe that I am sitting here watching his lawyer present 5 hours of evidence about whatever when it makes, like, no economic difference. That was pretty shocking. I will tell you, like, so the family court does more than just divorce, although 99% of my practice is divorce. But I'll tell you the craziest case I had. I was hired by an estate, the estate of this man, who posthumously was sued for back child support for a multitude of illegitimate children, which was served on his estate's executor, who was his wife or son, let's say his wife of 65 years, who had no idea that any of this would have happened. So, like, you bury your husband that you raised 10 kids with or whatever, and then you get a lawsuit that says that your deceased husband had 8 or whatever other kids, and that was pretty insane. And I just, when I heard that part of it, I thought, oh wow, this is bizarre. Like, this is crazy. When I dug a little bit deeper and found out that this deceased guy had a lot of land, and on the land was a trailer, and in the trailer was some medical supplies, and it was his own sperm bank. And the guy would go to small Christian colleges scattered around the Midwest, find someone who probably looked a lot like you with the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and said, I think we ought to propagate that species. And let's get you pregnant. And he didn't have sex with all of them. There were some that he did, but some of them were just artificially inseminated with this sperm that he deposited in his own bank.
In his own, trove,
Yeah.
So wait, when he found the person, was it a woman who was looking to have a child, though?
Well, I think it was a young, impressionable, conservative, religious woman who kind of got swept up in it all. And
that'd be a hard sell, I would think. Like, hey, let's
although I can't identify with any of those descriptors.
I mean, that's wild.
It was like a bit of an Aryan nation kind of thing, and
to perpetuate the species.
To perpetuate the species, and the right version. The species.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I am certain that the guy spun in his grave the entire time his Jewish lawyer was standing up in court arguing.
Do love that.
Yeah.
Was his wife completely floored, or was she did she have any sort of like hint that he was a creep?
Not that I ever knew. I mean, she's the sweetest lady. I mean, it broke my heart that, that she went through this, but
imagine that.
Yeah.
Your whole life, and then they're not even around for you to even be able to process or kick their ass or do any of that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
My
Who do you
whole
get mad
life.
at?
Yeah.
Like, who do you yell at?
Yeah. Well, then you doubt the whole.
Sure, everything comes.
Everything
then
comes
everything
into
comes into
question.
question.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I had no idea about that one.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Because, everyone that sees this knows, you're two high-powered, uber successful people. We get that. So a lot of people look at you guys and maybe can't relate because they're like, oh, I wish I could. They're just so far out there to me. But you're human beings, right? You're flawed. You are late to things. You cry. You're worried about life. So what is it? Because I know, like, when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's the worst thing in the world. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you stare at the ceiling and you think about something, you're worried about something, anxiety, fear. What are those things that usually take space in your head?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, you know what my really? Drink.
No.
You know what mine
No.
is? So here's mine. I'll tell, and I've been very open about this. So I count the years I have left with my kids. Like, I will lay there and I will do the math, and Jackie will be listening to this and she'll laugh because we talk about this all the time. And I expect the math to be different. And it's not. And I'm like, oh my God, because I'm so much older having kids. So I will get myself all in a flutter about how
The years you have them left in the house, or based on your life expectancy?
No, my life expectancy. So like how old they're going to be, how old I will be.
It's a fucking party in Carrie Croft's head.
You know
Exactly.
what?
It's
Let's
horrible.
clip this and give them to the kids later for those therapy sessions.
It's seriously, it's horrible. So that's
Wow.
one thing.
Okay.
And then, just the typical stuff of like life. But don't you have something that it's like kind of like a gerbil wheel that you worry about, that you're anxious about?
I have had my whole life the same version of the same recurring dream. Right? You guys have a recurring dream? My recurring dream is it's late in the semester. I've been enrolled in a math class that I haven't gone to. I got a final exam. And I'm not going to graduate if I don't pass.
But that wasn't the question.
No. So where I was going with it, the reason, I apologize, counselor.
Back to the question.
Yeah, back to the question.
Excuse me, back to the question. And Mr. Grossman, what are your deepest, darkest fears?
You don't do depositions. I do it in depositions all the time. Like, that was a great answer. Not to the question I asked, but that was a great answer.
I still do that in trial.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
So, for me, the thing and it's crazy because I think I'm pretty organized. I don't miss deadlines, but when you do what we do, you've got deadlines that don't have a ton of flexibility all the time, right? I mean, there are some rules that just don't have exceptions. And then there are some judges who don't make exceptions. And so they say, hey, this is when it's going to be, then that's when it's going to be. And so you've got enough cases and enough things and enough deadlines that, to me, it's just all anxiety about forgetting to do something or being late to something or something. I mean, that's my, I'll teach you some Yiddish. That's my mishigas.
Okay. It's not about being a big stud. I'm just such a stud.
No, I don't worry about that at all.
If I were you, I would. How do I walk out the door?
That's mine.
How do I walk out the door? What about you, Miss Menashe?
I wish mine were a little lighter than it is. But I actually don't. I don't worry about work. I don't have anxiety about work because I feel like I've always said I'm not someone that's trying to be good at everything. I'm not. I'm just trying to be great at one thing. And I think that there's two kind of groups of people. I think there's people that really like, I want to be good. I want to be kind of average at everything. I can do all these things. And I've just never been that person. I want to be great at one thing. And so I think I've found that one thing professionally. I think my, what might, like, in an honest moment is I really don't have family. And it's like a thing. You know, it's like I turned 50, my father died, my mom doesn't speak to me. You know, I'm solo. And so I think though where it manifests itself is not that like I get sad about not having a family. It's that when I feel like I'm not being a really present or great friend, and I consider my friends my family, like that's where I start to like get hard on myself. And the truth is that it's hard, right? Like it's hard to be a good friend all the time and to be not just the kind of friend I think is important. Being a good friend is knowing what your friends need, right?
Sure.
And that's just hard to know all the time, especially when you're at work a lot, you know? And like one of my best friends just reached out to me, you know, like it's hard to get to a 5:00 high school volleyball game, you know, like, and I know that's not true of all of our girlfriends. Like they can get to the 5:00 game, you know? And so I think for me, those are the moments that, you know, it's kind of dealing with that reality and then figuring out like, how do you, you know, navigate in that reality, still feel like you have family and, you know, be a good friend.
Now that I've got you in this soft space, is this?
But also math. That math exam. That
But yeah,
fucking math
algebra.
exam.
Is this a good time to talk about your love life?
Oh, we can. I mean, it's
Well, because here's what I see. I'm just like looking at you, and I'm like, I just feel like you are
okay. Let's get past all that.
one of the.
There is no love life.
One of the most eligible bachelorettes. I mean, you are a package.
Let's imagine that first date, though.
Well, but here's the thing: you're gonna definitely be the guy's gonna have to be very strong, and he's gonna have to want to have a strong. Because don't you think sometimes men would prefer a more docile? Not all, but I think you have to have the right fit because you are gonna really intimidate the shit out of some people.
I think it's anyone, and Andrew, chime in because you see these people in your field, and I mean this. Anyone that is 40 plus, and I just turned 50, so this is how I feel, is that I hope for them, but I know for me that I am actually really happy in my current state. And I don't say being alone because it doesn't feel alone to me. Like I'm not lonely. I feel very grateful, but that takes work, right? That actually takes work to know how to like sit in your space. And I think a lot of people, and this isn't a criticism, I think a lot of people with children, some of my best friends that are in marriages, in their life, it's kind of like a hamster wheel. I don't think they really know how to sit with themselves, you know, and really like love who they are and know who they are and still accept the shit about themselves, you know?
And by the way, there are plenty of people who are married or with partners who are lonely as shit.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I think, and so then going to your question, I think if you get to that place, and it is like, it takes work and but it's a great place to be where you're like, shit, yeah, I don't have a +1 in my life, but like, I love my life. You are by definition saying that you will only then be in a relationship if it's purely additive, right? Because I'm not 20 or 30 where I'm like, I need someone, right, to feel whole, or I feel a cultural pressure, or I want to have children, so I feel like I have to find someone, or it's just too much to bear with my children, like, wouldn't it be great if I could have a spouse that could help with that load? So truly, and I think that's intimidating because I think anyone on the other side of me knows that I'm good.
Yeah, they're gonna have to bring. They're gonna have to bring the noise.
You're gonna have to sort of bring something. And then the flip side is, I would want to bring something special, right? Like that's like the reciprocity there. Don't you think though, is like someone that's, you know, can get to that place, and I say this because you see so many people that are married and they're not happy, right? That when you see someone that's really happy, especially as we get older, we hopefully know ourselves more and know what makes us happy, you know, that can be intimidating. You know
what, the happiness?
Yeah, or just knowing like, wow, someone doesn't, you know, if you're trying to date someone, it's like, wow, they don't need me. Now, might they love me? and want to share life with me and fucking let's go and let's do this and let's travel and like just have so much fun. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
But like that need, I think sometimes people get so confused with like lust and love and need, right? They're kind of so often overlapped, you know?
You know, I think that my office is full of clients who, you know, well, it's full of marriages gone awry, right? And sometimes that's natural growth and growing apart. Like sometimes it's not anybody's fault. Sometimes it's I didn't choose very wisely. You know, I've seen like a pretty healthy number of people who clearly got married because that was the thing to do. Right? That was like kind of what was expected. All my friends were getting married. I'd been a bridesmaid 877 times, and now it's time for me to wear the white dress, and you know, that kind of thing. People like think this is what our society puts out there as the pinnacle of, you know, life, success in life. Like you made it, you're married, congratulations. That's not what it's all about. And I think, you know, your point is really, it's really like beautiful. Like if it's not additive, why?
And that's not disrespectful to anyone else. That's just like, because Carrie knows this because she's one of my very good friends. Like people joke that are close to me, like you have 12 people in this world that you're like, you know, is this sort of the tribe. And I'm like, how lucky am I? Because people say, you know, if you are the measure of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I think of those 5 people and I'm always like, fuck. That would be incredible to be the measure of that. Mm-hmm. And so I say this about, yes, so there's no love life. But I also say then it's figuring out, right? Like how do you, it's just additive, right? But are there times when I miss having, you know, traveling? And anyone that knows Andrew knows, he's like, we should all envy him for his travels. But that's probably one of the things if somebody was like, what do you miss most about not having a great partner? Not just a partner, because you can have a partner and they could be a horrible travel companion. Yeah. Like, by the way, I don't like to check bags. So you know, let's not do that. And I like to run down a jetway. So, but I say this, like traveling or, you know, doing anything for the first time, right? Like there is something really special about being with somebody that you really care about and turning to them and like, do you see that? You know, and it's kind of now how people use their cameras, right? Or their phones. But let's take it old school because that's sort of me. You can't replace that. And because I am, you know, solo, I just don't travel like I used to. And that's probably, if somebody was saying the biggest change, it would be the travel piece and what I miss so much.
Do you have any sort of specs in your head about, like, if you were to meet, and I'm not saying you're trying to, I'm just sort of, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of propensity towards a certain type of person? Like, would you meld well with a high-powered attorney, or do you think you'd like a more laid back, like, what is this, like, I'm trying to build like an avatar here for a, like, who would be your...
And this is like, you know me, so it won't surprise you. I don't really have that. Like, I think, you know, it's always got to be a good human, right? That it really is. Like, that sounds so generic, but that is first and foremost. And I think it's like wanting to my friends. It's got to be, I love being around people that are not like me, but that just inspire me, you know, that are doing. And I don't mean just like spinning their wheels, but I really do enjoy so much that energy of just people that are positive and really making shit happen. And I've said this about you. You're like, I have this dream. And then I've always said to you, one of the things I love about you so much is that you execute. You just execute. This is a prime example of that. And that like energizes me just being around that. You know, Andrew's the same thing and he knows this about me. Like, I love it when we get together and have a drink because I'm just like inspired like by our conversations, you know, and there's a real excitement there for me. I don't have like a checklist, you know. I will say, you know, I'm at the point where if I have someone in my life, I want them to have the freedom to go like travel and do things. So, you know, someone with like 3 young children.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible idea.
You know, I mean, Spoiler alert. But I've also done that. Like, I've been married and I've been divorced and you had children. And I've had, very long-term relationships and lots of years of, so I'm not like here, thirsty for it. But
I'm kind of seeing a guy who's accomplished something, has some means to sort of like do what he wants, is flexible, maybe has a dog. He has to be fit, adventurous. So if none of Diane's, preface has steered you away or intimidated you at all, and you still want to DM me, she may actually meet you for coffee.
Oh, is that?
I know somebody's out.
Okay,
well,
that's
what I'm trying to do is put it out in the universe because I know there's someone, perfect, like someone who could just, be the perfect value add for you.
But here's the thing, and this is what I joke about this. It really is like, if it happens, it will happen, I think, so organically. Because I would be, especially now, like the worst first date. First of all, because there's just these things I want to, like if I went on a date right now with somebody, I'd be like, so how do you feel about like what's going on in the world? And if they were like, what do you mean? I'd be like,
yeah, that'd probably end it.
Or like around, I'm not, or if somebody was like, so tell me about your parents. I'd be like, well, my dad's dead. My mom doesn't speak to me. And?
Which part you want to peel back first?
Oh, you want to know why I didn't have children? I just don't think, like, I'm not a good first dater because I don't do bullshit. And the whole kind of process, it's why I'm such an introvert. And I am an introvert, which is like crazy. So people are like, no way. I'm like, yes. I struggle with the like going to a happy hour and talking to people when I'm like, I will never see this person again. And there's people that like get so much energy in their cup. Extroverts do from that. That's not me. But like having a substantive conversation with someone that like I really want to get to know, that I respect, like, oh my God, like it's incredible to me.
I think we're the same in that way, the exact same.
I can't remember being on first dates. Like I have vivid memories of like a couple of really terrible dates. I have vivid memories about a couple of really great.
Do you think you'd be a first good date now? First date, would you be good?
I think I would suck. I think I would suck right now. Now, I will tell you, I think in my 20s, I think I was a great first date.
You were?
Yeah. I think I was a great first date.
What made you a great first date?
Well, I mean, like, listen, I'm interested in,
Yeah, you are interested in people.
So like,
yes.
I talk about anything. I got a lot to say. So if you're not particularly talkative, I'll fill the void. It's not a problem.
God,
like that kind of thing. And
there's
like
no dead space.
No, I like food and wine, and so like a first date at dinner and a good good meal, that kind of thing. So. But I don't remember them, like the detail of them, the way I kind of wish I did, because I would love to be able to replay those and just sit and cringe for a while. Yeah, I think I'd be terrible about it. I mean,
I also when I'm like, so where do you want to go? And then they say like, and I'm a bit of a...
You're just going to judge the fuck out of whoever it is.
Oh, for sure. Also, judging's fine.
Because when you're older, you just know what you want more. And if it doesn't align, you're like, yeah, next.
No, but I mean, if someone's like, there's some restaurants that I think like, hey, you want to go out? Those should be thrown out.
Right.
And if there's another option that's thrown out,
like if he's asking you to go to Chili's, you're like, we're probably not gonna pursue this any further.
But they got that appetizer deal now.
Now, to be fair, I would say that. I would be like, so you're bringing what you're bringing to the table is Applebee's,
right.
know?
We got
So let's step it up. And I would try to find some humor, and if they could come towards me, I would probably still make space for like a Starbucks. But no, I would be a horrible first date. But, organically.
It's such a, I mean, I'm sure when I say, I wish I could watch the tapes back so that I could just sit and cringe, it's like an interview,
yes, this is what I'm saying.
And it's so, and the reason I think I would be terrible at it now is it just sounds so exhausting. And, it's just not natural. It's not organic,
No.
and that's the whole thing, with and I know, like, I just sound like an old fart saying this, but like with all of the dating apps and everything.
Oh no, 100%.
You know, I mean, I don't know what the format of them is. I've heard about it, but like, I mean, like, are people really putting just average candid photos on there? No, they're spending like 8 hours picking the 3 best photos.
So then you have a whole other psychology behind that. Like, what kind of
that's a
profile
thing.
photo? Like, what do you
Yeah.
have in the photo? Like, what's that say about you? Is that
I can't do any of that.
Oh no, I think you would. I will tell you this. One of my like best things in life would be if you would allow me to like get on a dating app and help you. Like, I had a friend that I used to manage, like help manage her dating app.
Not happening.
And no, I know. Believe me, I know I couldn't get you there. But that would be, that'd be so much fun for me.
So here's a dating app story for you. I was sitting in one of the conference rooms outside of a courtroom with a client of mine, a guy, and he was fuming. And his wife was in the conference room across the hall from us. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he says, I'm telling you right now, she is in there on Tinder looking for dates while we're here. She's the one that wanted out. He did. And he was very upset. And I said, how do you know? He's like, I would bet my life on it. I said, well, do you have Tinder? He says, no, I don't have Tinder. And I said, well, how do you find out? And he goes, well, I don't know. You got to have Tinder. And then it's like it goes based on, closest to you.
Did you create a Tinder account?
And so I take out my iPhone and I download Tinder, and it says sign up with Facebook. And so I click sign up with Facebook, and I skip through all the questions.
Love this.
And I go to the first and the first person that pops up is his wife. And
There
I turn
she
the
is.
phone, and there she is. She's on Tinder in divorce court. And there's a knock at the door, and the bailiff comes out and says, "Judge is ready for you guys." I throw my phone in my briefcase. I go in. We do a 2-3 hour hearing.
Did she swipe you?
I don't know. I walk back to the office, and I see that I have 3 text messages and 3 missed calls from a woman that I went to high school with, who I then subsequently had represented in her divorce. And I figure something's wrong, and I call her. She's a former client of mine, and I call her, and she says, "You're on Tinder?" And I said, "I'm not on Tinder." She says, "Andrew, I'm looking at a photo of you and your grandfather right now on Tinder." My late grandfather was my cover photo on Facebook,
photo.
right? I guess it just pulls and I'm like, no one's going to fucking believe this. I like fish in my, get my phone. I'm like, delete, 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 delete. Yeah.
That's
true story.
Amazing. So the two of you,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts to wrap up this conversation? We've talked about all different kinds of things. Any closing arguments that you would like to, would like to approach the judge with?
There's no chance I'm doing a closing argument against her. Jesus. Pass.
There. Anything rattling around in that head that we haven't gotten out yet? You guys can always come back too. I feel a cameo.
You know what? I just feel like people, it was something you said earlier about like people, and I think you were just kind of saying it as a lead up. Like people are like, oh, I can't relate to them, And I think that there is something really to be said for it. Like everyone is relatable. It's just getting to that place, right? Even people that are so politically not aligned, or it's hard to say this about what's going on. But I do just mean that, like I said that thing about I have no family, right? I'm sure people are like, she has no family. I mean, I really, like, my mother lives in Beverly Hills and refuses to speak to me. Like, she's not, how could you not be proud of, she's not, it just isn't. But I say that like with some levity because, everyone's got a story. Right. And whether it's, is riddled with hardships, as much hardships as the person next to them or to the left of them, that's for someone else to judge or to say. But the truth is that even Andrew's life from the outside looks picture perfect. Right. It does. Right. Like, marriage and children. But Andrew, you still carry some shit, I'm sure. Whatever, whatever it is. Right. But like you carry it, and I think that. I guess and I was just thinking about this earlier is, and it drives so much of my work. It really is. It's like everyone has a story, and its story is not meant to be cliche. Like, there's shit going on for all of us, you know, and some of us carry it better than others. So some of us have better tools in our tool chest to deal with those hardships and those moments and have better support systems. And but the truth is, we're all carrying some shit. And so for me, I guess it just was saying that in response to that is, you know, it kind of dovetails nicely back into this perception piece, right? Like, perception is, well, it's not necessarily reality.
If what you know about Diane is what you see on the nightly news and on Dateline and stuff like that, that feels fairly unrelatable. It does. I mean, there's just a very small cross section of the population that is going to say, yeah, I relate to that. You know, I'm also in court every day. I don't relate to being on Dateline and, you know, having, you know, the deep voice on Dateline talk about how awesome she is. You know, I mean, so, but you know, but I know Diane, and so, and she knows me, and I think that we're both actually super relatable people. You just got to kind of take us out of our role, right? And I think that people would find, you know, that we're plenty relatable. So I don't think we're all that special.
I guarantee the number of people who are going to hear this and be like, wait, Diane's mom doesn't, wait, what? How does that is a whole thing where people out there will be like, wow, like the softness, that side of you, you know, and you, they're just gonna be like, well, he is the stud we all thought he was.
Oh,
I mean, he really didn't disappoint today.
Hey, if you wouldn't mind just saying the unattainable Andrew Grossman is in my threesome.
Esquire.
If you could just say that as a soundbite, I want to just play it for my kids.
Oh, repeat.
And we're just getting started with you, Menashe, because you're you're coming back. Andrew, real quick before we close up, didn't you used to have a radio show?
I did.
Oh,
with your dad?
Yeah. We had
that's amazing trivia about.
We had a 3-hour every Sunday call-in talk show called Family Matters on 610.
Well, his dad's also in the biz.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And you look exactly like him.
Yeah.
Do you think we could because I know you had mentioned wanting to do your own podcast, but I mean, maybe you could just do like a little like, you know, hotline bling in here every once in a while, like as an added cameo, and then maybe get your feet wet. You want to?
I would love to come back.
I think that'd be amazing. And then Miss Menashe, we're going to get you back on the show.
And we're talking about Menashe.
Well, no, actually, we were probably going to have to do that. Diane,
yes,
Andrew, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
I know it's very valuable.
Yeah.
I look forward to having you back, and I'm being dead serious.
I think my hourly.
You know, send me the bill.
I was going to say.
All right, and if you're still following your girl out there, please follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And until next time,
cheers.
Keep moving.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Touch. It's bad luck if you don't touch. Okay. The rules of the game.
Okay.
Very simple. We're just going to see how much trivia you guys know.
Oh, shoot. All right. Yeah. I'm in for it because I think Andrew's going to be.
Oh, my. Okay. Keep your hands.
Okay.
Okay. Hands on your thighs because I don't want anybody to cheat. Okay.
Oh, it's like I know this.
Oh, we have to like who's
going to presses it first. Okay.
Andrew, you need to know it to press it.
Hold on. We just need to.
Oh, wait. What's the question?
Here, let's practice.
The Amazon basin.
Okay.
Are we feeling competitive?
No, I know. Listen, this one over here. It's like, wait for the question, Andrew. Okay.
Okay.
What is the short happy life of Francis McCumber?
Okay.
Who is the 34th president?
Okay, so here are the rules of the game. Okay, because I know you guys are fair.
Oh, you need to explain the rules?
And honest. Yeah, I do.
Press the red button.
I'm going to say the question. Press the red button. If you press the red button first, say the answer. If your answer is wrong, you have to take a drink.
Okay.
Feels like a win-win.
Well, right. But
okay.
All right. Before embarking on a solo career, Beyonce was part of what R&B group?
Destiny's Child.
Correct. Did you know that?
I mean, deep down.
Okay. Okay. What was the very first video ever played on MTV?
Oh,
You got to use your hands.
Video killed the radio star.
Oh, yeah. That's a gimme.
Yeah, you did.
Did you know that?
No. Wait, I've already said in the podcast I am not cool.
All right, well, this one is a gimme. Okay.
Also, if it's a gimme, that doesn't help me with this one.
Well, I got to get your confidence back. What is the name of Elvis Presley's Memphis home?
You gave that to me. It's not the same. Andrew, like the parent, was like,
Hey, this is a marathon. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? All right.
what? I mean, get some glasses.
I know.
Is this still
seriously.
going out to people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So this will be like a...
Also, get some glasses.
Wait, are people listening to this live? No. Wait.
I'm like,
That's going to be amazing
Sorry.
right there. That's going to be a clip all of its own. Wait, is this thing on? Are people, why aren't they calling in?
Also,
okay. Get some glasses.
Andrew giving me Graceland.
No,
and then
it was
he was
so
like,
good.
it's okay. You can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. Put your back into it.
Yeah.
Okay, what 94 Quentin Tarantino movie stars John Travolta and Sam... Ooh, that was...
Pulp Fiction.
Okay, yeah, we'll give that one to you. Da Vinci Code opens with a murder in which famous museum?
The Louvre.
The Louvre.
You are smart.
No, I knew that too.
Yeah, but you didn't press the button.
Well, I was watching him answer.
But
I
now
knew
you're-
it. And
you're-
then he
you're
was
coming
like,
off the rails
I
now
just
because
went
now
there
you're not
3
even-
weeks ago.
But now you're not even pressing the button.
You know, you would have been there a number of weeks ago.
Passport expired.
Oh my God, that's actually a very, very interesting situation that happened. Who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird?
Harper Lee.
You are really entering
also, you know
genius
what else?
status.
And I knew this too, but he did. And don't hate the player, hate the game. You did undersell yourself.
About what?
You were like, I'm not that good at trivia.
Well, I mean, if you ask me the right questions.
But that's kind of a strategy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really
Oh,
that
I
good.
promise
Like,
you, I was not
absolutely
engaging in gamesmanship when
You
we had our
weren't?
pre-call.
You
Well,
call.
I got a thing saying.
Okay, can
that
you
we're
ask
having-
a question that I might know and Andrew might not?
Well,
Okay,
it's
go
gonna,
ahead.
let me keep
Actually,
scrolling. Which U.S. president was a law professor?
I was just going to guess Clinton.
Yeah, you're right. When was the first iPod released? What year?
iPod.
Mm-hmm.
I have a guess.
2000.
Ooh.
Oh,
Drink.
202.
Ooh, drink.
203.
4.
What is it?
1.
Oh, so close, but so far.
Drink, Diane.
Oh.
What was America's first national park?
Yosemite.
Ooh, nope, drink.
Gosh.
I can't think of another national park.
That's why he's like,
Franklin Park Conservatory.
oh my goodness.
Hat Day. Hat Day.
That's actually awesome.
Okay, Hat Day.
Yellowstone, guys.
Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wheels are coming
This
off.
is when Andrew goes, that wasn't even anywhere there.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
What was the first state? Andrew.
Massachusetts.
Delaware.
Yes. How did you know that?
I knew that.
Hey, drink.
Oh,
Knew
okay.
that. Actually did know that. Actually knew that one.
How many floors does the Eiffel Tower have?
Oh, you know this.
How many floors?
92.
Oh. 3.
3. 3 in the middle.
3.
Drink. What are California's state colors?
Yellow and like a turquoise blue.
It says blue and gold. I'll give you that. Which blood
rich.
type
It's rich.
is a universal donor?
Oh.
Oh.
It says O negative.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
So both of you need to drink.
Okay.
Oh, negative?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know someone that's O negative.
How many pounds are in a ton?
2000?
Yes.
You know,
How many colors are in a rainbow?
5.
Ooh, drink.
Really?
Yeah.
7.
6. Oh,
7. Can you name them?
Roy G. Biv. I'm not wrong.
No, you're right. You're
No,
you're
you
not
are
wrong. You're not
right.
wrong. What was the best-selling Christmas single of all time?
Do they know it's Christmas?
Nope.
No.
Drink.
Mariah Carey. What'd she sing?
Drink.
What'd she sing?
I love that song, though.
No, you know what I'm talking about.
I love that song. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Christmas is, yeah.
No, you can get this one. Think.
Jingle Bells.
Dreidel Spin.
Nope.
Not dreidel.
Keep drinking.
Not the dreidel song?
Keep
Not
drinking.
the dreidel song?
Nope.
Are we sure?
White Christmas by
Are
Bing
you
Crosby.
sure?
Can we go to
The
the
spin, the dreidel.
Can we go to the...
What is Taylor Swift's lucky number?
37.
Drink.
Why would it be 37? 3.
13. What animal breathes through its butt?
It's got to be something underwater, right?
Take a stab. You guys are smart.
I am a guess, too. I have a guess.
What is an armadillo?
Drink.
Animal. No, animal's a question, like not a reptile.
Yeah, what? No.
Not a reptile. So
A reptile's an animal.
Like, that's a different class.
But it's an
Animal is not... She didn't say mammal.
Here's what I was going to say. Some kind of like chimpanzee.
No. Drink.
Who is it?
I want you to keep guessing this one.
Who
Drink.
is it? Well, because
You each
snake
get-
would have been an obvious
You
one.
get each get one more.
I feel like I know this.
What about kangaroo?
Diane cannot. She cannot get the button to hit. No. Drink.
What about what are you going to guess?
Al Pacino's going down on you. Sorry.
That needs to be on. That needs to be a lot. Fine.
I had a name and now I can't remember what I was going to say.
Because how do you not feel like crocodile
You
or
need to
something
drink for
like
that.
that?
You can't just not answer.
I actually
It's something that doesn't have a mouth. What doesn't have a mouth?
How
Or
do
is
you
it?
know it doesn't have a mouth?
You're,
It could
you're
have a
making
mouth.
assumptions.
Or nose. Doesn't have a nose.
You're making assumptions.
That's why I was like,
You know, my brother's lot. Never mind.
Order in the court.
What is
Order
it?
in the
What is
court.
it?
A turtle.
A turtle.
Yeah. I don't make the rules.
breeze out of its ass?
That's what it says. It says a turtle.
We know a lot of lawyers who talk out of their ass.
For sure.